I'm curious to know if you've seen a difference between return path data from an MSO versus a satellite versus a telco. Are there differences?
Yes, there are actually lots of differences. And if you think about the three types of platform, at Cantor we define the platform as a video provider. And it could be from a telephone company, it could be from the MSO cable operator or the satellite company. And now we're looking at over-the-top data as well. So it's not really the difference between maybe the telco and the cable company. It's who's collecting the data, who's their third party, and more importantly, what are the data output? Because you can adjust these in several key items. For example, dwell times. Because when we think about return path data, they're tuning events with a start and an end time and a duration in between. So whoever collects it, and here's where standards are very important, they could be quite different. And I'll give you an example. We've had instances from one provider, which will be unnamed, has a 1 second dwell time, meaning every tuning record that comes in is automatically assigned a value. And then we have the extreme, which is one company that has a 5 second dwell time, with that a 5 minute, dwell time, which means that nothing will be counted that doesn't have at least a 5 minute contiguous tune. So what does that mean? It means that you can't really measure commercials. So what we've seen with return path in terms of its value is not just linear tuning, because yes, we can measure networks, we can measure channels, we can measure programs, time periods, all the traditional measurements. The one thing return path data does that, let's say, traditional measurement won't or can't do is commercial measurement. So the currency today could be a C3, which is the aggregate of commercial minutes. The real question advertisers need answers for: how did my commercial perform? In what environment does it perform? And how do we now monetize this? And return path data can do that. Getting back to your question, if certain platforms don't report that detail, there's no way to do that. So what Cantor is working with all of the platforms is to define some of these standards so that we understand the value sets. When we bring it to market, we can accomplish multiple things all at once, which really improves the business process.
This may sound like a stupid question. Why would there be such differences in dwell time?
It's the philosophy of the company that was collecting it in the first place. The second is cost, and let me go into two of them. If you're a platform and you're collecting data on your own footprint, you may think 5 minutes is fine, because what you want to do is measure maybe the relationship of activity that you have in each of the households, but not the precision of the actual tuning to a particular network. So what that means in any given day is 5 minutes enough to determine relevant tuning to a channel so that perhaps the platform can negotiate with the channel for carriage. That's adequate. And in fact, Nielsen's cume, I believe, is still 5 minutes. So
Six.
if 6 minutes. So if you look at those metrics, they could be fine for one application. So that the engineers that developed it may not have had in their minds, we needed this for true audience measurement, or more importantly, commercial measurement, which requires second by second. So you can have different philosophies about how you want to use the data. The second is cost, because remember, think of second by second data for every box, for every home that you have. That adds up. That's a data management issue, and you may not have the resources to do it. But between those two, I think that really answers the question of why.
So these companies that have the 5 minute qualifier, they can change. It's
Oh,
just a change in the
absolutely.
business model.
And in fact, we've talked to them about it, and they can adjust the model as long as there's a business reason to do so. So the nice thing about practically every system that I've talked to, they can scale this for whatever need they have. They just have to justify it. So if the marketplace said, yes, we really need the data, and they can make an economic case for it, yeah, there's no technical barrier.